Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the live stream. I haven't done this problem with the sound since something like the second ever one. So I do apologize. But thanks for sticking around. And look, we've got some really good targets tonight. This is your first time with this. Watching this, my name's Matt, and I'm a volunteer and also the tour coordinator at Perth Observatory. And today we're making his triumphant return, Riley from Stargazers Club and Astro Tourism WA. He's here to help me.
That's right.
How are you, Riley?
Very good, thank you, Matt. How about you? The second time round, still
now,
just as good.
Yep, now we have sound. That's great. So we've got so guys, if we can forget about that last couple of minutes, and if you like the video, that would be fantastic. Subscribe as well to the channel, just so that we can build up our viewership, and also hit the notification bell as well when you subscribe, just so that you know when we're going to be doing this. We're going to be doing them on Wednesdays, and one Wednesday and one Saturday per month, just so that we can get some variety and get some different people on as well. And we're going to try and get, hopefully we'll get some other people on as well at the same time, so we can do multiple telescopes. So we're trying to get this bigger and badder. And if you can help us, we would really appreciate if you're able to donate on our Patreon account as well, so that we can help make these things, this live stream even better as well, and just so that we can do more stuff as well. We can produce more videos as well. All right, so we're going to be getting into it. So Riley, what do you want to show off first? What do we have?
So I'm just about to complete a 3-minute exposure on the Orion Nebula, actually, to start us off. We'll start off with one of the favourites.
Yeah.
One of the brightest star-forming regions in our night sky, actually. You might be able to see one on my screen now.
Yep.
Halfway through my guiding software, lost its star, so the stars look a bit like ovals, but hopefully with this next one coming in just now, they should look a bit more like stars instead, and we'll get a bit clearer of a view of the object.
Awesome. Well, while that's happening, what we'll do, and I will open up Stellarium so that we can then show you exactly where we're looking. So we're looking to the south here, our beautiful western sky. There's the emu in the night sky. There's the body, the neck, and the neck here, and then the head here, which is the Coalsack Nebula. So we've got the 2 pointers, the Southern Cross, and so we're going to be going, and there's the 2 Magellantic clouds, the large and the small. We're going to continue going north, 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 and there's the beautiful Orion Nebula. So we'll open up the artwork here. And for some of you if you're in the northern hemisphere, you're going, wait, he's upside down. Yep. Unfortunately, we're in the southern hemisphere, which means we have all the fantastic stuff in the night sky to show you, but the stuff is upside down. So we've got Betelgeuse here, we've got Bellatrix, we've got the belt stars, Alnitak, Alnilam, and Mintaka. And then right here, we have the beautiful Orion Nebula. Always puts on a good show. Doesn't matter where you are. We can be in the centre of Perth showing people through Dobsonian telescopes in the Perth Cultural Centre, and we can still get some nebulosity from this nebula. It's a fantastic one to show. And it's 25 light years across, which means it's a relatively big nebula, and it's about 1,344 light years away from us. So you're seeing it as it was 1,344 years ago. What were you doing back then, Riley?
Oh, a whole lot of nothing at that point in time. I don't
Yeah,
know about
yeah.
you.
I think I was a twinkle of 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 a twinkle in my ancestor's eye. So yeah, actually. So yeah, and it's in a reflection and an emissions nebula as well. So you not only are we seeing here, we're seeing the visible light, but we're also but it also from the stars in the center. You can see that bright area right there in the center. That is the glow from the trapezium cluster, which are 4 giant stars, and they not all the stars there plus the trapezium cluster, they actually light up the nebula right there, as you can see. And it also some of that light, some of the radiation coming off those stars will cause the dust and gas to glow, and we can get that light as well, can't we, Riley?
Absolutely. I'm actually about to drop us down to a shorter exposure, about 1/4 the length, in hopes of revealing a bit more of the detail of the core,
Yep.
the trapezium that you were talking about there before, Matt.
No worries. And what program are you using tonight?
I'm using a combination of nebulosity to grab my images and talk to my camera, and then a little program at the bottom called PhD, which stands for Press Here Dummy, and that's doing all the heavy lifting for my photography. It's making sure the telescope's tracking in the right direction.
Ah, good. Nice. And what telescope are you using today or tonight?
Running my old faithful Skywatcher ED80. Little refracting telescope, so we get a massive field of view at the cost of a bit of aperture. But that's all right in my opinion. And
nice.
we've actually got our trapezium come through now, and we might be able to make out a bit of detail in the core here. And I can even try to bring some color into the image as well.
So those are giant stars there that if you put them in our solar system, they would gobble up not only Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, probably even Jupiter as well. They're that big, and they're actually they're stopping star formation from happening around them. So think of them a little bit like a eucalyptus tree with their oil. They stop stuff from growing around, so they can be the dominant thing in that on the ground there. And so a lot of this radiation that's pouring off the stars, we call it solar wind. And our star produces a solar wind. It's constant. It's always there. Sometimes it's a little bit faster. Sometimes it's a little bit not. But it blows. It's a constant wind. That's why we call it a wind, even though it's charged particles and radiation. And it can have an effect on our magnetic field, especially if there's a solar flare or a coronal mass ejection that gets sent out by the sun, and it actually interacts with our atmosphere, and that's where we get our auroras from. And so in this one, we can actually see with Hubble images, poor little baby stars being formed, having their formation hindered by this radiation, and it's actually scooping out the nebula as well. So, but it's lovely to see. And it's a really good one to show as well. You can see it with your naked eye. So this object is you can get a better view with a set of binoculars, and then you get an even better view with telescopes as well. Yeah, and it's part of a much larger nebulosity all around that Orion Nebula. It's called the Barnard Loop, I think it is.
That's correct.
Yeah. And we've actually seen inside, these are little globules as well, which are the protostars forming. So you get this little cocoon, and inside the cocoon is the protostar with the material falling on it. And you can get little jets coming off the north and south poles of the stars and causing... and you can see those jets coming out of the cocoons as well. So it's got probably close to 1,000 stars now, and there's about hundreds of them which are about less than 1 million years old. The nebula is actually about 700 stars at different stages of formation, and the youngest and brightest are believed to be less than 300,000 years old. So, we're talking about stars that weren't even around when the dinosaurs or even the primitive primates, and the Ice Age as well. So, and the brightest ones that may only be as old as 10,000 years. So these guys are like, newborns for stars. The ones that are 300,000 years old are maybe coming up to their very first birthday. There's it's quite amazing. And they've found about 150 protoplanetary disks around there, so we can actually see active formation of stars and planets as well. So it's an amazing system. So, and we've in about 100,000 years, this nebula will be gone, and all that will be left will be a very young open star cluster of stars that will be orbiting around a very wispy nebulosity. So all the dust and gas that have been made to use stars will have been used, and it will be a very well. Hopefully, we'll still be around, but it's nice to know that we can see it in our time as well. Yeah. Did you know it wasn't mentioned by Ptolemy or Al-Saif or Galileo? There's no mention of it, so I don't know whether they would have been able to see it.
With the optics they had, even just the naked eye, you should be able to spot it.
Yeah. The first time it was identified was Nicholas Claudi Fabroni di Persec. Sorry, I apologise for my French. I never studied it. So, but yeah, that was he looked at it. They got me to do Indonesian and Japanese at Indonesian at primary school and Japanese in high school. But yeah, he looked. The first time it's ever been talked about was it was him observing it in the 26th of November 1610 as well. So yeah. Alrighty then. Let's. Do you want to move on to say Hubble's variable nebula?
Absolutely. I'll tell the telescope to make its way over. It shouldn't be too long of a trip.
No worries. Okay, guys. So we're going to be moving a little, and actually, while you're at it, we've got. Is this the little feed from PH? The PH.
Yeah. So this is a PhD,
PhD.
press here dummy. So I've just told the telescope to slew over to look at the region of the sky where Hubble's variable nebula is. This display here, we're getting a series of images with an exposure time of 1 second. So it's 1 second's worth of light data coming into the image. So you don't see very much except the brighter stars, but that's what we want. Then I've told the program to pick itself a star, and then I'm going to tell it to try and guide my telescope. The software basically looks at how my telescope should be moving and compares it to how that star is actually moving. And you can see here from the graph, the guiding software is making tiny little adjustments to make sure that it stays pointed in the right direction.
Cool. All right, so we'll go back to Stellarium now. And so we're going to make a short trip. So zoom out. And turn on. All right, zoom. Where is it? Let's have a look. So it's in the new. It's catalog. It's in the. Sorry, wrong one. The catalog we're going to be using to find this is the new general catalog, and it's NGC 2261. And we'll zoom in, and it's in Monocoronus, the unicorn, so just above its eyebrow. So we've got some nice targets around there. There's the Rosette Nebula, which we showed a couple of live streams ago. There's also the Christmas tree cluster, which I think we did around about Christmas time with Roger. We haven't actually shown this object, Hubble's variable nebula. We showed it on the nearly coming up to a year ago. It was the 25th of April 2020 that we showed this object. That's how long ago it was. And so so it's making its triumphant return as as well. So it's a lovely little nebula. It does work if you work better if you've got quite a large telescope to show, but it is quite amazing to see. This one, it's a reflection nebula. So there's the light being from the nearby star, which is called R Monochronis, which we can't actually directly see itself, but that light from that star is lighting up this nebula, and it's 2,500 light years away from us, but it's only 1.1 light year across. So we're seeing it as it was 2,500 years ago. So again, we're when you look through a telescope, you're looking at it as it through looking back in time, and so there are things that that we'll only find out that eventually actually that kind of exploded back 1,000 years ago, just like the supernova in 1987. And so we think it's about 300,000 years old as well, and it kind of looks like a small comet here. Do you have it on screen yet?
We're just coming up to the 3-minute timer for the exposure that I'm trying to grab. So it should be popping up any second now.
We should get the Jeopardy music.
There goes the camera shutter.
What's really cool about this nebula is that you can actually see the changes over the months. And so I've got a video to show you from, I think they took with Hubble. Did it get a good shot of it?
I've got the shot. So to add to Matt's point of just how small it was, just over a light year wide, and the fact that it looks like a comet, we can actually see the tiny little Hubble's variable nebula tucked in through here. Matt also mentioned a better scope, a scope with a higher magnification or longer focal length would be better than something like my scope for this one. But that being said, we can still get that almost cometary structure of the nebula poking out, despite the short focal length from a telescope.
And I think we need to give a clap to your telescope for being able to show that. Clap, clap, clap. Yeah, so this was actually found by William Herschel in 1783, and it was honoured as being the Palomar Observatory's Hale telescope's first light shot by Edward Hubble in January 26, 1949 as well. And Hubble had studied the nebula previously at Yates Observatory in Wisconsin and Mount Wilson. These are all probably Palomar Observatory, the Yates Observatory, and Mount Wilson are all on my bucket list to see. Hale was taking photographic plates of the of a 24-inch reflecting telescope in 1916 as well. So the plates were taken using the same telescope in 1908 as well by it's US astronomer F.C. Jordan. So they're able to use. They're actually able to use these different plates that were taken over these time. But Hubble was able to use a blink comparator to study the actual changes in the nebula, and that's where you get this lovely little, lovely change. You see the changes in the actual nebula itself. What I'll do is I'll just open up the little video just so that you guys can actually see this. Let's have a look. Hopefully it all works. There it is. So you can see just the rippling. So this was taken over about a 6 months period or so, and you can see just it's not causing any issues in the actual nebula itself or disturbances. It's just the lights being caught up by the different parts of the nebula, so you get this cool effect from it. So it's a lovely little object to show if you're in a group of people that have a real keen on space and that. So because it's something that doesn't look, particularly interesting. It's just small little fuzzy thing, but when you actually start to understand what that little fuzziness is, and it's also cool because sometimes you might not have a comet to show on a night, and it's always nice to see it. So, but even the star that lights this up is pretty interesting. It's a T Tauri star, which is a class of variable star that's less than 10 million years old, and so they're pre-main sequence stars. So our sun is a middle of the road star. It's a main sequence star, and this is a star that's about to join the main sequence, and so this star usually rotates. T Tauri stars usually rotate between 1 to 12 days. Compared to a month for our sun, and they're very active and they're very, very variable. So that means that they're expanding, compressing quite a lot as well. So it's an exciting time to be a star at that time. You don't want to have life around there because you don't want the different layers of radiation burning away your atmosphere and going through your magnetic field. But it's a pretty they're pretty interesting stars. Think of them as they're like toddlers when they, I'm only speaking for the video footage of myself and my sister and my niece and nephews. Once they're able to run, there's that their speed is not as faster than adult walking, but they're not as fast as adults running. So you have to kind of put some effort into it. You just can't walk so think of that for stars. Yeah. All right, that's lovely. Do you want to try? I'm
happy to give the Leo triplet a go.
Yeah, let's try the Leo triplet.
Okay. So
again, we haven't actually shown this since the 25th of April last year. So. And while you're doing that, I will pull up Stellarium again, and we'll go some skywalking again. So we've got Orion here. We've got Monocoronus. You can see the Gemini, the twins. We've got Cancer, the crab. That is such a terrible name for.
Very unfortunate.
Yeah, and we have Leo right here. Actually, I think not many of you might know this, but it was just before we went on, while we were setting up, it actually came out that Prince Philip had passed away. So we send our regards to the Queen for her loss, and all the best for the monarchy, the family, because we've actually had a recent one of our volunteers recently lost his wife to cancer, and we've lost family members. It's never a good time, and so we hoping for the best for the family. So we've got Leo right here, and right in here, just behind the hind legs, we actually have these three galaxies, which make up the Leo triplet right here. So we have M65, M66, and what we call the Hamburger Nebula. The Hamburger Galaxy, or the King's Hamlet Ghost, or the Vanishing Galaxy, but it's also called NGC 362028 here as well. So these are what's called the Leo triplet. It is a pretty awesome thing to see through a telescope, and I think we showed this with the 14-inch telescope. a couple of, I think maybe the couple of live streams afterwards, and we were able to get either the first two, the M65 and M66, and then we had to scroll down a little bit further just because the view was so defined. But with other with wider field telescopes, you can actually get all three in, and it's pretty impressive to see. So, so how are you going on your end?
With any luck, actually, my telescope's got just the right focal length to squeeze all three of these galaxies in. So I might need to do a little bit of finagling once the first image comes up to reposition and reshoot, but we might be able to get all three.
Ah, cool. Actually, one thing we didn't do, which we should do, is actually show your image of Orion, because we didn't do that. So this is what happens when you get really good with your shots. And this is a shot of the Orion Nebula that Riley has taken. So do you want to talk about the image while we're waiting?
Yeah, so this shot of the Orion Nebula, I grabbed it in early December last year, and it culminated of about 3 hours, I think, of 3-minute long exposures. So that was a similar duration to what we were seeing earlier in the live stream when I was grabbing those pictures live, but lots more of them all stacked up onto each other and then compressed down into a single image. The idea of that is you're collecting more light from the fainter structures. So you can probably see towards the top of the image, there's almost a looping structure in the nebula. That is some of that fainter structure I was just mentioning before. You couldn't grab that in the images that were live. Of course, though, when you're doing that, there is the downside of accidentally picking up lots of extra camera noise because your camera's in use so often. There's certain pixels getting hotter and it's making the image look fuzzier. So there's a whole other process you have to do at the end of the night to try and remove those as well.
Yep. Awesome. Cool. And yeah, so while we're just going back here, so I'll just move it onto the screen here. So we're seeing your screen, seeing you at work.
No worries. The telescope had to do a flip across its meridian, so it had to spin itself all the way around, which meant the guiding had to be recalibrated, because otherwise it was going to try and guide the telescope in completely the wrong direction, which would have thrown our target off. You can probably see on my screen, these look a lot less like stars and more like droplets of rain. That's just because the telescope thought it was tracking in the wrong direction. So I've just reset. You can see it now. Just me resetting. Well, you would have seen it just before me resetting the guiding software and getting it to recalibrate. And we're just waiting for this exposure to come rolling in now of these galaxies.
So what mount do you have?
Currently, I'm running. It's quite an interesting one. The label on the outside says HEQ6, but in reality, it's an EQ6 Pro. A couple months back, it got a little bit water damaged, and when I tried to order in a new circuit board, it turns out that the circuit board I needed wasn't being produced anymore. So they upgraded me to the next model up for free.
Oh, nice.
So technically, yeah, it's like a Frankenstein mount. It's the outer shell of an older model and the inside of a newer model.
Oh, that's good customer service right there. So
absolutely.
Yes, it's. And guys, if you've got any questions, that you want asked, answered, just chuck them in either the Discord channel, and we'll answer them. And we've got some people on the live chat as well on YouTube as well. So I am monitoring it, and we're waiting for your calls. So yeah, if hopefully we can get some views here. If we can, it's they're three gravitationally interacting galaxies, so they're holding themselves together, and similar to really eventually how our galaxy, the Andromeda galaxy, and probably the Triangulum galaxy will eventually be interacting with each other soon enough. But we've got M66 and M65 oriented so that their spiral nature is visible. So if we go to, I will just make sure we've got one tracking on this one. Okay, let's have a look here. We'll go back. Oh, that's lovely. Nice little shot.
Yeah, so this is one I grabbed back in 2018 when I was really green
Nice.
with photography.
So
there's our triplet there. Hopefully we'll get something not dissimilar coming
Yeah.
through the live view in a minute.
So the bottom right would be M65. The top right one will be M66, and the one over to the left, that is the Hamburger Galaxy, or NGC 3628 as well. So
Correct. Yeah.
And so they're
And then up in the top corner, we've also got a rogue background galaxy too.
Yeah, let's
just making itself known.
Yeah, hey,
I haven't identified it before.
I'm out there, Jerry. I'm loving every minute of it. Actually, you might be able to find that for you. Let's have a look. That possibly could be NGC 3593. So.
Excellent.
Yeah. Yep. Just looking at.
Finally. There we go.
We're starting to get some.
We're starting to get some just in here. So that'd be M66, M65, and then you can just see a very faint edge on for the Hamburger Galaxy in there. So this is just 3-minute exposure. The image we were just looking at before has been processed, and I think was closer to 2 hours worth of light data overall as well. So,
and this is you're in the
position in the color and detail.
Yeah, and you're in the middle of the suburbs of Perth as well. We're not in Roger's fancy observatory out in the middle of the central wheat belt
observatory. No, this is shot from a Perth backyard.
Yep. So it's amazing.
Directly under a straight light.
Yeah. And so these guys are 35 million light years away from us. So you're seeing that light that has taken 35 million years to get to us. And M65 and M66 are 160 light years. 160,000 light years apart. And then NGC 3628, the Hamburger Galaxy, is about 300 light years away. 300,000 light years away from the other two. And out of the group, M66 is actually the bigger of the two. That's 95,000 light years across. And that's still that's about, I think it's about 10 to 15,000 light years smaller than our sun. Instead of our galaxy in terms of its diameter. And M65 and M66 were actually found by Charles Messier in 1780, and the Hamburger Galaxy was actually found by William Herschel in 1784. Once the equipment got better as well. So the Hamburger Galaxy is relatively warped due to the gravitational impacts of the wider galaxy cluster. So you'll find that you have these galaxies are in clusters of galaxies, and they can interact with each other. M66 spiral is also slightly drawn out from its interaction, and M65 is actually the least active of the group, with far fewer younger stars than the other two as well. So M66 and the Hamburger Galaxy show quite a high rate, a number of young stars, from about a starburst 800 800 million years ago. So there's probably been some interaction between the two. Coming close is about probably about as close as 80,000 light years away from each other. So that's probably caused the starburst that's happened in those two galaxies. And when we talk about starburst, we're talking about a sudden a huge sudden formation of stars in the galaxy as well.
So not talking about citrus flavored lollies.
No, we're not. No. But actually, I've got a hankering for them now. That's it, starburst. We need starburst. Actually, yeah, we need starburst at the observatory. We've got Milky Ways. We've got Mars bars as well, so you can see the Milky Way and Mars at the same time from our shop as well. Now we just need starburst as well. And one quite unusual thing is that over the last 50 years, we've actually seen 5 supernova in M66, which is, in comparison, we haven't seen anything in the Milky Way for the last 400 years. And I think it's something like you're supposed to get every century something like three stars, 3 supernovas in a galaxy like ours. So it's quite unusual that we've gone 400 years without a supernova. We need to actually have a super. The universe owes us a supernova in our galaxy. So yeah. And these galaxies are also part of a much larger cluster of galaxies, about 330 million light years away from us, and they contain about 100 galaxies as well. When you have a look at the way the universe is formed, you do actually have quite a lot of these collections of galaxies clumped together. Our one's called the local group. So the Andromeda is the biggest out of the group. We're the second biggest, and then there are smaller ones like the Triangulum as well. But there's even larger superclusters like the Virgo supercluster that are close to the Virgo as well. Actually, what I'll do is I'll go back to Stellarium and we can actually show you the Virgo supercluster. So when we have a look at Virgo, let me just turn off meteor showers as well. We can actually see there's quite a lot of galaxies around here as well, and so that's where the Virgo supercluster is. It's a massive, thousands of galaxies that are there as well. So it's pretty impressive to see as well. So yeah, all right. So what should we go and see now? I think. Do you want to try? You try Eta Carina? I think Eta Carina is pretty
I can
awesome
swing around.
to see for newcomers, don't you think?
There's Carina, there's Running Chicken, a whole number of different targets we can see.
Riley, you're muted.
Hello? Mute.
Can't hear you, Riley.
Okay. No worries.
Let's have a look. We'll just make sure.
Hello?
Let's have a look. Where's Riley? Oh, hang on. Nope. Hang on. There's a bear. There it is. We can hear you. Riley, can you speak now?
Is that better?
Okay. That's weird. We've just lost Riley.
Had me for a second. No worries.
Okay. Let's have a look here. We'll just try and see mute. Sorry guys, we'll just little bit of technical delay here. Okay. Maybe it's my headphones. Let me just have a quick look.
Hello, hello.
It actually might be me.
Okay. We've got people in the chat saying they can
Settings.
hear us both. So,
Yeah.
in any
Connect.
case, I'll just resume my
Connecting.
PhD guiding that I was mentioning before. With any luck, we'll be able
Come
to
on, connect.
start guiding pretty quickly, and we can grab ourselves our first light from the Carina Nebula.
All
So
right. Oh,
right
hey, I'm
now,
back. I can
this
hear you
is
now. I think I
there
just
we go.
couldn't. I think what was happening
That's
was
all right.
I think my headphones, as you can see, they're Bluetooth. So I think the Bluetooth. Oh, we can hear both of you. Okay, cool. Oh, yeah, that was weird.
Great.
So yeah, so it was my
Well,
headphones.
first we resolved
Yep.
it. Anyway, right now, what the folks are being able to see on their screens is the brain of PhD2 do its thing. You can see the screen is shifting around just the tiniest little bit. This is the mount observing how wrong I was when I set up this evening, and making corrections for my mistakes. So ultimately, when we start coming to actually take the image, all I've done is I've pressed here dummy, and it'll be able to start taking some really smooth images for me. So that shouldn't be too much longer, and I'll be able to grab an image of the Carina Nebula. This one, much like the Orion Nebula, is quite bright, very, very large, so it shouldn't take too long for the exposures to start rolling in, that's for sure.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, it seemed to be. Yeah, it was. Yep, I can hear you. Oh. Yeah, that's weird. It must have just been my headphones. So, but it's amazing what you can do and what you the stuff that you can get for your for computers and astronomy, and it's a lot of this is share freeware as well. So there's a
Yeah, I was
community.
just about to add this is freeware, so completely free, this software.
Copy. Yeah. So we're going to Eta Carina, are we now?
Yeah, we should be
Yep.
well, I'm almost certain we're pointed at Eta Carina, and I've just
Okay,
told the
cool.
camera to take first light. So
Awesome.
should in just under 2 minutes we'll get our first data in from the object itself.
Yep, I just realised that I don't know if you could actually hear me.
I've got you loud and clear.
Cool, good. Yeah, so Eta Carina is a quite a fascinating little. The Carina Nebula is fascinating as a nebula itself, but you've also got the Carina, Eta Carina star there as well, which is a star that's about to blow at any time. So about to blow means it could blow up today, could blow up tomorrow, it could blow up in a million years. We just don't, or it could have actually already blown up. So it's one of those ones that it won't happen overnight, but it will happen. So just like the shampoo. So yeah, and it's 7,000 light years away from us, Eta Carina. So we when it does blow up, you'll have to remember that it happened when it does blow up. Minus that with 7,500 years, and you'll get the exact time that it blew up. So yeah, it's going to be pretty impressive because it will be up during the day, and it will be up during because it's at least for Perth it will be because it's circumpolar. It never leaves our night sky, and it will be visible during the day and night for at least a good couple of months at least. It's that massive, and it's actually a triple. They think it might have actually been a triple star system at one time, because there was back in the 19th century there was a period where it actually completely brightened up so much that it became one of the brightest stars in the night sky, and we think there was an interaction between one of Eta Carina and one of its siblings, and it gobbled it up, and that was So It's either that or it's had a massive big cardiac arrest.
So I've just got the image up on my screen here. I'll display it for a short moment before I reframe the target. But we've got that main body there, so
yeah,
we'll take a look at it for a little bit, and then I'll bring it a bit more central and try to reshoot that one.
Yeah, that's lovely.
So there's our great Carina Nebula there.
It's definitely one that we like to show on a night sky tour. We like to use our 30-inch telescope, 30-inch telescope on it because it just brings it up so well. And you can actually see the Homunculus Nebula, which are the two globs of material that are coming off Eta Carina, which we'll show you when Riley's can take the next shot. And you can actually see that when you go to really good skies with a pretty decent telescope. So yeah, so it's about it's nearly 500 light years, about 460 light years across in diameter. This nebula,
significantly larger than Orion.
Yes, yeah, it is, and it's got one of the youngest known star clusters of about 500,000 years old, and it's Trumpler 14. And there are some amazing stars here. Some Wolf-Rayet stars that are just massive stars pouring off huge amounts of radiation as well, and it's both an emissions and a reflective nebula as well. We're seeing not only light that is being from stars lighting up the dust, but also causing that dust to glow, because we're talking about dust and gas that is very, very close to absolute zero as well. And so it doesn't take a lot to heat it up. So yeah, and there's...
Okay, so we're...
Yep.
After you, Matt, after you.
Oh, actually, what I'll do is while that's taking the shot, I'll quickly go and show them in Stellarium where we're looking, because we didn't actually show that. So zooming in, and we're coming to the east, to the south now, and we've got the cross, and just in Carina. So this is the Argo Navis right here. So this used to be before 1920, when the official 88 constellations were formed. This was one big constellation called the Argo Navis, or the ship that the Jason and the Argonauts went to find the Golden Fleece, and it was broken up into three constellations: Purpose, Carina, and Vela the Sail. And we're looking at here, right here, the Carina Nebula. And yeah, so you can actually, again, you can see this with the naked eye here at the observatory. It's quite noticeable, and once you go out into the country, it's even more noticeable. And so it's just up from the cross, the Southern Cross. So it is quite nice to always get some photos of this area as well in the night sky. Just go back to studio mode. And so yeah, so it's, how are we going with your photos? Nearly there.
Should just have an exposure coming through now. Here we are.
Just on time.
There's a bit more of that detail.
Yeah.
Just on time. Like we planned it.
That's wonderful. Yeah, that's... And so yeah. So you can see the...
Yeah, here's...
Yeah. Do you mind just circling for the people where the Homunculus Nebula? Just to show them where the Carina...
Just tucked in here around the star itself.
Yep. And then there's the keyhole as well.
Bring it in a little bit.
Yeah.
Once we get a bit of colour contrast in here.
Nice.
I'll note that it does appear very red using a ultra high contrast filter. The idea is that minimises the impact that the light pollution of Perth has to a certain extent. So it does come out a lot redder than you would expect in a final processed image at the end of the night.
Yeah.
We're able to get quite a bit of data out of this
Yeah, but you can
nonetheless.
see
So
the
here's
little
our
blob there.
Eta Carina star. It's got a little bit of a peanutty shape to it, and just chucked in through here.
And you can actually get 3D models of the Homunculus Nebula as well. So, for people who have 3D printers, you can actually get the files to make the Homunculus Nebula as well. Or it's Latin for little man. So it's believed this is what's believed to be ejected from the 1841 eruption as well. So Eta Carina went from a barely visible star to the second brightest star for a good couple of months, and so that's the leftover from that massive big radius of that eruption there. There's also the keyhole as well, which is a small dark cloud of cool molecular dust and gas as well. Do you want to point that out for the viewers?
Just misplaced. I had it a second ago, but I've zoomed out and I've lost it. Where are we with that keyhole there, Matt?
I think it's around that. What I've always known is that it's around that. Yeah, there it is, and then up and then just down around that area is the keyhole. That whole
maybe if we just get a bit more of a context with the rest of the nebula around it, might be able to point it out a bit clearer.
But we're seeing this as a 3D object. So it's not a 2D object. It's not just a nice veil. We're actually seeing something that's pretty much a sphere, and so this the dark cloudiness here around the Homunculus Nebula, that's actually foreground dust and gas that is preventing light from being seen from us. So it's a lovely nebula to show. I always love seeing it. I can't get enough of this one.
It is quite a striking nebula to see through a telescope. That's for sure. Even just these short 2-minute exposures do it quite a bit of justice too.
Yeah, I've got an image that I took when Roger Groom and I went to the Pingelly Astrofest, and we stopped off at Boyagin Rock and did some astrophotography. So I'll quickly I'll get some of the photos up because I did some processing of them. So the photos that were taken with the Perth Observatory's Nikon D810 camera. Right, get it lined up. So transition. So this was a shot we took straight up, and you can actually see the reddish. While I zoom in, it probably. That little redness there that you can see, that is actually the Carina Nebula that's coming out, and so the camera's got is able to pick up hydrogen alpha, so the dust and gas, and so you can see the nice pinkish look. And down the bottom there, you can actually see the head of the emu, which is around where the actual Southern Cross is, and I'll just zoom it. It went a little bit too. Oh, actually, I don't think I've been talking, and it's not been on film.
You had it up there for a moment. The nice pink glow of the nebula.
Yeah, I did have it up. Oh, good. So I'll just transition again. There you guys go. So that's it there. Zoom it in again, and I'll just get the next one. And this was one that we took further on in the night. I took on the further on the night. Okay. Where is it? Transition here. So yeah, so this was the emu that you can see. So this was around about midnight, and I took a whole series of shots, and you can see it's coming up the top. There's the head of the emu. Then we're coming back down, and then you get more of the body, and you can towards where the actual trees are. You're starting to get the constellation of Scorpius as well. So yeah, it's amazing what it was so perfectly still. There wasn't a lot of not a lot of wind, which was amazing, and not a lot of light pollution either. So hardly any light pollution, just a little bit to the west, but we weren't shooting there. And yeah, it was. I wish I'd taken a little bit more shots. I took 4 shots. I needed to take a little bit more to get a better stacking of it. So this was taken about 15-second exposures with so Nikon D8 10A. The lens was a Sigma 20mm lens, and I was shooting at f1.8, and for 15 seconds. ISO probably would have been about 2500. So yeah, I was able to get some quick shots. Actually, I think one of these shots I got an actual meteor through, but it was so impressive.
Oh, beautiful.
It was so impressive when actually seeing it, and I'm dancing around because it's the first one I've ever got. Fully got. There's been ones where I've captured it and it started and it's gone off our screen, and it just didn't look as impressive as it did in real life. So yeah. So going back to your wonderful image, it's getting better and better and better. So yeah.
So yeah, this one's a 5-minute exposure. This time I cranked it up while you were showing us the results of your photography field trip that I am a bit jealous about.
Yes.
But we've been able to get a bit more detail towards the center in here.
Nice. But yeah, it is a very good. It's a favorite, and the thing is, again, this is only visible in the northern hemisphere. Oh, sorry, in the southern hemisphere. You can't see this. Yeah, you can't see this in the northern hemisphere. So it's one for. It's just ours. It's ours. So yeah. All right, guys. So we've reached the end of the night, and I think we can leave it here. This hero image of Etta Carina, and thanks Riley for joining us. And we managed to get through all the little technical bugs. And don't worry, I'll fix that up in post production. And thank you guys for sticking around. Hopefully you've had a great time. We'll be. Let me just have a quick look when we're next going to be doing this. I think it will be a Wednesday that we're doing it, and it will be the 1st of May that we're going to be. We're doing it on the 21st of April. So not next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after. So we'll probably have a moon. So if you've got kids that you think would really enjoy this, let them know and let the parents know, and because it's always good to show the moon to the kids. They understand what telescopes are doing, and so if you guys like this, please like and subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell. If you feel that we're worthy of it, we'd be very grateful if you donated to our Patreon account. We'll give you some cool merch as well, just so that we can keep on improving these live streams, and we'll be able to get some more people and doing this as well, so we can get some see more telescopes, see what different telescopes are able to show different objects, and so hopefully you had a great time, and we'll see you in the near future. Thanks, guys.
See you later. Thank you for coming.
There you go.